Hi, everybody. It's Angelo Caruso. I am Public Image Coordinator for Zone 28 East in the Rotary world. We have a very interesting session planned for you today. We're going to interview the lady perhaps most responsible for District 7820 winning the Public Image Award for Zone 28 in 2019-2020. It's Louisa Horne. Hi, Louisa.
Hi, Michael.
We're so glad you're here tonight. I want to do a more proper introduction for you in just a minute. But I want to introduce everybody that's on the call today. We have an amazing public image team with us this year in Zone 28 East. And I thought it would be fun to have each of you introduce yourselves, maybe mention the name of your club, your district, and your area of expertise. I've been telling everybody we're kind of like a SWAT team, and all of you you're like Liam Neeson in the movie Taken. You each have a particular set of skills. And if you tell us your skill today, we'll kind of know where you're coming from. I think that's a good way to orient everybody to who's on the call and why. Martine, you want to get us started? Tell us about who you are and why you're here tonight.
Sure. My name is Martine Babineau. I am with District 7810, where I'm the Director of Communications. And that's actually my specialty on the team, it's all about the words, right? It's all about how you present your message. So my club is the Atlantic International Passport Club. We are a newly chartered club, and we're really excited to be joining the Rotary world as the District 7810's newest passport.
Excellent. Thank you, Martine. Brad, tell us about yourself, Mr. Hollett.
I'm Brad Hollett. I'm in Zone 7820. I am Vice President of St. John's After Hours in downtown St. John's. And my specialty is catered to audio-visual video editing and things along those lines, screens, projectors, the ins and outs of a conference.
Boy, Rotary needs you right now, man. Thank you very much, Brad. Rachel Clark, what's happening with you?
Hey, I'm from the Rotary Club of Halifax in District 7820, and my specialty is data analytics, and I also do some Canva and newsletters.
Excellent. So you're a numbers person, and I understand you're a new homeowner. I'll bet you got the best mortgage out there.
I got a very good one.
All right, good for you. Gustavo, ¿cómo está?
Hi, everyone. My name is Gus Lopez. I'm a public relations major. And what I'm really passionate in public image in Rotary is leveraging strategic communications to raise awareness about Rotary, both internally and externally.
Very good. How best do you do that, Gus?
So I help a lot of clubs tune up their social media, but also I'm really interested in getting out there and speaking to clubs about the strategic part of communication and how they can leverage the new resources that Rotary International has put out, as well as the beautiful work that they've done creating branding guidelines and everything.
Excellent. And you and I have talked about this before, the difference between strategic communication and casual communication. If you're on a mission, which we are in Rotary, we can't afford to be casual all the time. I think it's good to be casual once in a while, but all of our communication needs to be some element of strategic. Excellent. I'm Alina.
Bonjour.
How are you?
I'm pretty good, and you?
Good, thanks. Tell us about yourself.
I'm Melina Marzaro. I'm from Rotaract Club of Quebec City in District 7790. As you can hear, I have an accent. Je parle français. Alors, what are my specialties? First, I'm a writer, so I'm good with all those kind of things. I'm a thinker, and I'm good for writing strategic plan. So I'm good with speaking too, but mostly in French.
Okay, great. So we're starting to see some overlap in the skill set here. You have to have writing in order to have good video script. You have to have good social media, writing on social media. Writing impacts everything. Excellent. So glad you're here tonight. Hi, Kelly. Tell us about yourself.
I'm Kelly Hunt. I am in District 7820. I am in the same club as Brad, and I am the president of St. John's After Hours. And my specialties are Canva and Photoshop and Lightroom. So anything graphic design, if you need anything done for Facebook posts or social media posts of any kind, Instagram, Twitter, anything graphic related for any kind of conferences, I'm your go-to girl, definitely.
All right, good. We're going to be accessing your skill set tonight because I know Louisa did a lot with graphics during her year. I've seen some of them. They were eye-catching to say the least, and we know how important that is. Over to you, Christina Annis.
Hello, my name's Christina. I am in the St. John's East Club, also in District 7820. We're heavy on the 7820ers here. I'm also the public image chair. I'm in my second year of that role here in 7820. So Louisa and I worked extremely closely over the last probably almost 2 years now. I really enjoy relationship and team building, which we'll get into a little bit more when we start interviewing Louisa about the importance of relationship building in a team. I also love teaching people about social media and different functions and testing out new ideas.
Great. And speaking of relationships, is it true that you were the public image chair during the year that the district won the Public Image Award?
Yes.
Okay, so it's good to have you on the call as well. I don't know which of you did the most work, Louisa or Christina, but it seems to me that it almost always ends up being some kind of teamwork to win the Public Image Award.
I have one more thing to add. So Louisa and I worked very closely as a team, but Rachel and Kelly were also on that public image team. So I'll get into that later with my question.
I don't know that it's any coincidence that the district that won the Public Image Award last year has all of these people at the top of the public image org chart in the zone.
Could be.
Very impressive. Louisa, Horne, what's it feel like being a past district governor, man?
Well, I didn't use that title, so I can't say that I'm a past one, because part of what we did differently was, as Martine said, language is so important. So we tried a lot of different things, and you're quite right that we had a wonderful team, and it's very much about that. So I was privileged to be part of that team and privileged to now see what they're doing next.
What title did you use instead of district governor?
I was the chair of the district leadership team, and that was a very purposeful shift in language to really give the message that we were trying things differently and that we were a team. It was most definitely not about me. It wasn't my year. It wasn't the district governor doing things. It was always the leadership team.
Were there other aspects of this surprise attack? I mean, when we have a governor every single year, we have a membership campaign every single year. In order to shake things up, it helps to come in a different door of the Rotarian's brain by saying, I'm not your district governor this year, I'm your team leader. Did you do this in other ways, or is that the primary thing that you did?
So Michael, you cut out there for just a moment in the middle of your question. So I'm going to ask you to repeat it.
Sure. We know that when you're trying to, that a big part of public image is getting attention. And by changing the title that every governor has used for years prior to you, that's a good way to get people's attention. Did you use this technique in any other way during the year? Anything jump to mind? Christina can answer too.
Well, absolutely. My little friend here, my ROTARrier friend Beacon, was a big part of the storytelling. So basically, I started out with our team as our strategic planning process evolved to say, what we've been doing for the last number of years isn't working all that well. And so why would we think, if we think about the definition of insanity, why would we think this year is going to be any different? And so as a team, we work very closely together. We have a wonderful succession plan that allows us to really work together as the leadership team. And so we said, let's try some things that are different. It might work, it might not. And I think that's a big part of perhaps what we did is have the courage perhaps to take some risks and to do some things differently. So certainly the name was a change that got some attention. My dog, my ROTARrier, he's a ROTARrier, told stories. The approach that we took to telling those stories was different. And really the way that we approached everything that would traditionally be a district governor thing to do, like visit all clubs, we didn't do it.
Yeah.
We just purposely tried to do some things differently.
You're reminding me of something I wanted to do at the top of the call. I'll do it now. This video is going to be primarily featured on 2 Facebook groups, everybody. The Zone 2832 Facebook group and also the Get the Word Out Now group. People have asked a lot of questions about the Get the Word Out Now group. And one of our reasons that that group is so successful, we have more members than the Zone group. And it's just me. Initially, it was just me. It was a surprise attack, just like the kind that you're doing. You know, I didn't want to be like every other Rotary group out there. And in order to do that, I kind of had to run the different set of guidelines. I had to come in a different door of the brain. Psychologists call it coming in the brain a different way. And then what I'd like all of you to do, if you like the content, if you like how this video shows up, you can share it to your various district pages and club pages. So that'll be our little repository for shooting this thing out. And we can reshare it from time to time. I love the stuffed animal, the real dog, Beacon.
Yeah, name's Beacon.
And Christina says she has one too. Did everybody get one in the district? What kind of?
Yeah, Beacon had 45. Beacon had 45 puppies, so every club had a puppy, and that was part of a contest that we did to just give people a way to tell stories differently. I knew that not everybody would do it, and I was hoping maybe 10% might try it. It was more than 10%. Some people got quite excited about it. The dog went everywhere. The puppy was in the pictures, and the idea was just take your puppy on tour. Take pictures with your puppy, post them. People talked about the difference that it made when they visited with children, when they visited with seniors, that the puppy opens conversations for people to say, why are you walking around with that puppy? So there was a contest around doing stories with the puppy and submitting them. We did that twice during the year and gave some public image funds to clubs that did a really good job of that. And it just, again, it's just a way to start a conversation in a new way, because what we had been doing wasn't necessarily effective. So try something else. And I knew some people would say, oh, that's silly. What are you doing that for? And other people would get into it. And that's exactly what happened.
I love it. I know you also did, let's talk about one other thing that you did, and then we'll give everybody a chance to ask some questions because I know that they're chomping at the bit. You also did and I forget the proper name of it, but it was some sort of a coffee hour or coffee segment. What was the official title?
So we did Coffee and Conversation, and we started that sort of the day after COVID started as a way to continue to have some engagement with people. Now, lots of other districts did that as well, and lots of other folks started different types of Zoom conversation things. But I think maybe we were pretty quick off the mark with that, and so as a result, we were able to attract some very excellent speakers, people like Angelo Caruso. We had him one time. We had the current RI president, the past RI president, the incoming RI president. We were able to attract some very significant leaders internationally who gave us some real excellent conversation. And that allowed clubs that hadn't necessarily made the leap to Zoom to still have some opportunity to be engaged. We did it in the morning, a coffee time during the really significant lockdown time for us when people had time. We had, as a district, supported 5 different subscriptions to Zoom for all clubs to be able to use. And so it was a launching pad for that, for clubs to try things. And we used it as a bit of an education. So every week we tried something different. So we had some different games. We used breakout rooms. We used annotation, things that now people are doing all the time. But back in March, that was still new to us. So it gave us a way to expose clubs and to give them a chance to practice things in a safe environment and learn some things that that really helped to keep people hopefully a bit engaged, especially if their clubs weren't doing Zoom on their own.
Why did, and a comment from Brad, feel free to pipe in, everybody. Brad says in chat, coffee and conversation really got him through the first few months of COVID because, and I'm guessing, Brad, and you can take yourself off mute, because it was such an unusual time, right?
Oh, it was a crazy time, and it really brought Rotary to the forefront for me. I was at that time, I was probably moving further away from Rotary than where I was at that point, and the camaraderie and the good conversation that was happening during those meetings really brought me back into it again.
Yeah, just for a little context, Brad Hollett still works, I think, for a hotel that does major events, and you do a lot of major events for other contractors, and all that business went into the bucket. So if you're feeling any of my pain as a public speaker, you know, we had nothing. I was lost in March and April. I just thought my world was coming to an end. So to have that kind of bearing, you know, and GPS, you know, come here to feel some humanity, everybody. I don't think it can be understated.
Yeah, and it was fun. I think it did give people something to do to connect to Rotary that they weren't necessarily seeing in their own clubs. And it was right when clubs were starting to figure out what Zoom was all about. So it was a good way to introduce that and to help people feel a little bit more comfortable. And as part of that, we did a lot of hand-holding, one-to-one tutorial work with folks that were really struggling with Zooms. We did probably half a dozen workshops on Zoom, the real basics, especially for folks that are not particularly technically oriented. And then it was literally one-to-one tutorial work, helping people get connected, doing little tips every time about how do you make sure you keep yourself muted? Oh, you can press the space bar to unmute. All those little things that helped people just feel a little bit more comfortable with Zoom.
Did you have to explain to anybody what the space bar is?
Oh yeah, we did it all.
That long key in the middle.
Because I have.
Oh yeah, we did it all.
Let's give our experts a chance to ask Louisa a bit about how she did her thing. And by the way, this whole idea came about because I have attended, like you have, a bunch of conferences where they give awards. This year's event was virtual. It was even worse than normal. Not blaming the meeting planners, but you give the award, say, for membership. And we have the club that has the highest gain in membership come on stage. And then we give them the award and we take their picture, but we never ask them how they did it. We never say, and if they do ask, the people say something inane like, well, we just asked people to join. And you know the devil's in the details. Like we're not letting you off the phone in 5 minutes, Louisa. And when you tell us, oh, we put a lot of messages out there. That's not the answer. There's a lot of moving parts here, and we want to know the deets. So let's get started. Gus, would you like to ask a question of Louisa related to how 7820 won the Public Image Award last year?
Absolutely. I really, really like what I heard so far. I really love the idea of innovating. I think you hit the nail on the head when you said, you know, essentially the idea that you can't fix problems. You can fix problems using the same tactics that created the problems, right? And I think that's really awesome to hear. I'm a little curious about what things that the district may have done or even incentivize the clubs to do to reach out outside the Rotary family and sort of like raise awareness and connect with the community.
That's a great question. Thank you, Gus, for asking that. So certainly the puppy thing was part of that, to reach out and to have ways to talk to people, and certainly just having the puppy brought people into conversations that they wouldn't have otherwise have. The other piece that was really important for us last year was working on partnerships. And our district is very large geographically, and so I focused on one province of Canada, Prince Edward Island, actually, as the province to really try this out. And so we developed a partnership with a province-wide organization called the Community Foundation of Prince Edward Island that has a presence across the entire province. And we partnered with them on a significant research project around engagement and community wellness in the province. And Rotary was the main sponsor of that. They produced something like 40,000 copies of a report that our logo was on the front cover of. They did a major media launch that I was the MC and spoke at that event with a significant number of senior politicians and community leaders from across the province. They did 5 community engagement conversations in 5 different communities across the province. I facilitated all of those on behalf of Rotary for our partnership. And it really gave us an opportunity to speak to different people. And that was the whole point. How do we get in front of groups of people who are coming together for other reasons, because they're not going to come to a Rotary information session necessarily, but they'll probably come to a community engagement session that all of their community leaders are part of. And it just so happens that, oh, by the way, Rotary is facilitating this. So this was very much a tactic to find a way to connect with people that we wouldn't otherwise connect with, have the Rotary logo all over the province, and develop a partnership that we wouldn't otherwise have. So I think that's probably the best example of a way to try and reach people in an avenue that hadn't really been done here before. Maybe it's been done other places, but it's not something that we had seen done, to have that kind of formal partnership and be the sponsor of a significant research project that then provided information that's useful for those clubs. So the clubs now have the opportunity to leverage that information and follow up with all the people that came to those events.
You know,
Really awesome initiative.
Yeah, thank you, Gus. Great question. I speak at a lot of Rotary functions, and it's interesting how we silo. You know, here's Rotary, and here's the corporate world, and here's families with kids that might want to, use RILA, Rotary Youth Leadership Awards, or Interact, right? Kid stuff, young people stuff. And when we have trouble, because once you have those silos, you don't think of anything as being a Venn diagram. And I tell clubs constantly, they say, yeah, we're gonna get a big crowd. I always tell them, if I'm gonna bother to do this, and you're gonna bother to have me, why don't we have 100 people? And you should see, Melina, it's sometimes like I'm speaking a foreign language. They'd never had 100 people. They never think about having 100 people. It's a huge leap for them. And then they say this is how they're going to get 100 people. We'll invite other Rotary clubs. And I think it's a huge mistake. That's that silo thing. Because it's a Rotary function, we probably should only invite, or our reflexive thing is to invite other Rotary clubs. But the bigger population, of course, are people who are not in Rotary. So when you hitch your wagon to people with bigger wagons, Rotary benefits. And that's what you did, Louisa, by hooking up with this other organization.
Yeah.
Bravo.
Yeah, that was exactly the idea. And the intention was, and we were close to doing it in another province just pre-COVID, so it didn't happen in the way that it was planned. But it was certainly the idea that this was a model in this one province that we'd be able to take to other provinces. Maybe with the same organization, they happen to have a presence in every province in Canada, or maybe with another organization that's doing something province-wide that we can leverage.
Yeah, excellent. Kelly, over to you. What kind of questions come to mind when you talk to somebody who won a public image award?
Well, along the vein of what you just said of introducing outer sources and stuff, I know Rotary is usually very close to branding and their standards. So being on the public image team with Rachel and Christina, I know that we did the entire annual report this year through Canva. So bringing in other sources of branding, but still sticking to Rotary standards was a whole new thing for our district. So just wondering, being on the outside, how do you think it influenced the district and people, and was it more, I guess, readable and approachable instead of just a long version of text? And, how do Canva and bringing in other social media and graphic design things help with our branding in this district this year?
Well, great question again, Kelly, and certainly the work that was done on that was you all, not me, for sure. Christina and Kelly and Rachel and others just did an incredible job with something that had never been done here before. And again, maybe other districts do this kind of thing already, but our annual report and our annual general meeting was not something that most people would say, oh, I can't wait for the AGM. It was not exactly an exciting event, and it's always been at our district conference in the spring. Well, I had already decided I wasn't having a district conference because, again, it was what had been done all along, and it didn't seem to make a great deal of difference. And so long before COVID, there was no plan to have a district conference. We were doing these partnership programs in each province separately. Also had decided way back, more than a year ago, that we were not going to do an annual general meeting face-to-face. It was going to be virtual regardless, because I felt that more people should be involved in it. We should be able to have more attendance if we did it virtually. And why not? It's boring in general, and it's a business-oriented thing that we have to do. So we had already decided to do that. And I had already worked with the team to say we have to do something better than stacks of photocopied text as an annual report. And so Canva was becoming something we were talking about more, and I'll ask Christina to speak to how we got a little bit more excited with that in a minute. But I had challenged the team, and we are very fortunate, as I said at the beginning, to have such an excellent team under Christina's leadership, to take ideas and run with them. And there was never anything that I said that started with, what if we, and sometimes people run when I say that, but Christina never did. And so I don't think she did anyway. So when I said, what if we used Canva, how could we do an annual report that way? And it didn't take long before Christina had mobilized Rachel and Kelly and a few others to figure out how we could do this and create a document that was much more appealing, that hopefully people were more inclined to read. I think they did. And that lives on as a more visual document that hopefully can be refined and be something that's much more useful as we look beyond Rotary. So it's not just an internal document. It becomes something that we can use to promote and to help build those partnerships with other organizations, to say, well, here's what we did last year. If you want to know what it's like to partner with us, here's who we are and here's what we did. So it was a first trial effort at creating something that could evolve to become a much more useful partnership development tool.
An annual report on Canva, that's a first for me. I'd like to see it. If somebody has a copy, maybe you can email it to me. I'd love to
I'll grab
see
it here.
We do. We filled out the entire page length available in Canva. It was 100 pages long, but we did it and it looks beautiful. So we do have copies.
It's amazing what they produced, the 100-page max, which first we thought 100 pages, oh, we don't need all that. Well, it turns out we did need all of that. And we wanted to make it more of a yearbook, scrapbook combo business tool. And we looked at, Christina and I looked at a few from some major not-for-profit organizations, Habitat for Humanity, United Way, a few others that have very flashy annual reports because they use them in their fundraising and so on. And so we use those as guides to give us some ideas of how to start. So I was very, very proud of what they did and think that it's a great model to move forward to create something that will have that added benefit.
So help me understand, when Canva, thanks for the link, Christina, is it, what kind of platform is that document? Is it a Word doc? What is it?
Maybe Rachel might take that one.
It's a PDF.
So as a PDF, could it be converted to a JPEG? No.
Yes. Well, it could be converted to a picture, but it would be humongous. I would stick with a PDF.
But if we created, if you took one, say one of the most appetizing, appealing pages from the 100, you could create a JPEG and then repurpose that on social.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and we leveraged it to help some of our team members get a little bit excited about Canva too. So there's always more than one reason for doing things, right? So this was, first of all, you have to do one. So, okay, how can we do one and make it useful? How can we lean towards something that will go beyond the internal preaching to the choir? And how can we use it to get more people interested in using Canva? And how can we have sections that could have another purpose? So for example, our foundation team really got excited about Canva, and Christina and Kelly and Rachel worked very closely with that chair of that team who wanted to get into Canva herself. And she created just a wonderful section that if you were going to pick one, that would be one to look at to say,
For sure.
okay, that's a whole different way than a Word document, one page, text heavy, drill and kill kind of report.
We'll give Christina a chance to weigh in here in a sec. I want to remind everybody, Canva is an app that you can use to create graphics. They even have a mobile app that you can use and create graphics on the fly. You can pull in the background, choose your font, you can import photographs. It's basically swiping, a bunch of series of swipes. And you can create some pretty snazzy graphics. I'm surprised more people haven't grabbed Canva, but maybe we need another kind of pandemic for that to happen, because I was surprised more people didn't use Zoom until March 12th. Christina, any other thoughts about the Canva application with the annual report?
I really liked the platform because multiple people could use it, like similar to Google Docs. You can have multiple contributors. And we did have multiple contributors. I think there was 6 of us working on it.
Like a wiki application?
Pardon?
It's
Like
web.
is it like a wiki application where a bunch of people can work on it at the same time, like Wikipedia?
No, you can't work on it at the same time. It goes a little wonky. It won't save each other's changes at the same time. But with one link, you don't have to have multiple copies and then merge them.
Okay.
You just kind of have that. And we were really good at communicating anyways on who was in the file, when and doing what. So that was really important. That would have gotten out of hand quickly if we weren't in touch about who was actually in the file at the time. Yeah.
We also, I think it's important to note that part of the launch of us thinking about this a little bit more seriously was we hosted a workshop with Michelle O'Brien on Canva that helped us just get a little bit farther, move the bean down the road a little bit more. We were already there, but it helped us get more people excited. So that, for example, helped us with this foundation chair who attended that and said, okay, now I have to do it myself. And that was exactly what we wanted to come out of that particular workshop that Michelle helped us with, to just, again, bring somebody from away, right? It always is better to have somebody from away when you're launching something new. Yes. So Michelle, all the way from Alaska, coming to Atlantic Canada was an appealing way to get people excited about Canva. And so that gave us a little boost.
So a little orientation for people watching the video. Michelle O'Brien is serving her final year as Rotary Public Image Coordinator for Zone 28 West. She's a force of nature and very knowledgeable about Canva. Louisa makes another great point that I think should not be lost on everybody watching this, trying to get better at public image. When you're trying to change culture, district culture, club culture, you're going to need a lot of impressions. They're going to need to hear about Canva in more ways than one. You just can't drop Canva in their lap and expect everybody to adapt it. So you have to arrange. We did this when we did the $1 Million Dinner. We had to teach people about all the ways that you could give to Rotary. Oh my God, I never thought I would be in the education business about the benefactor way that you could give to Rotary and all that stuff. But it turns out they needed to hear that in order to appreciate what we were doing with the $1 Million Dinner and the foundation overall. So the campaign ended up being like this strand of this DNA strand with all these little pieces that you couldn't pull apart without the whole thing crumbling. We couldn't do without any of those pieces. And I'm hearing you say similar things about how you introduced Canva and got it to work within the district.
Yeah, I think similar to Zoom. We do workshops, we make it available to people, we see who gets excited, we try and leverage their enthusiasm, and then we offer one-to-one support. And so people like Rachel and Kelly are available if a club says, gee, I'd like to do that, or we want to do this little banner or promotional brochure. How do we do that? Well, now they know about it because they saw it. They saw the annual report. They've seen some of the other images that we've used, and we keep saying, you can do this too, and we have help for you. So that was all part of positioning the district quite differently from what it had been in the past, where people might say, oh, the district comes when they're going to, you know, you're in trouble for something if the district's contacting a club. What do you know, you're late with dues or something. And to position it more as we're the district and we're here to help. And how can we help you? What do you need that our district resources can help you with? And that was a big part of a shift in helping to position the district in a more supportive and facilitative way that can be one-to-one help. If that's what you need, our IT people, our PI people, that's what they'll do.
Yeah, Louisa, you just said the 4 words that need to accompany everything we do in public image, which are, you can do this.
Mm-hmm.
Because everybody thinks this stuff is magic. I know when Brad did, he did a fantastic video to introduce this public image team to the world, essentially. And I know it blew the tops off of people's heads because of the feedback that we got. But there is video editing software now where you can do some pretty amazing stuff if you just, you know, try for like 30 minutes, right? So you can do this, I think, is a message that we need to constantly shout from the mountaintops. Martine, you're on deck. Let's talk about, let's continue this round of questions and then we'll open it up for some free-form conversation. Martine, what do you want to ask Louisa?
Well, there's a few things that I want to ask Louisa. So some of you may not know I'm in the district immediately next to 7820, so 7810, and I was actually watching all of the wonderful things coming out of 7820 all year last year. One is I would like Louisa to tell us the story behind the dumpster picture that showed up of her, because you know, you talk about a picture is worth a million words, right? And we see a lot of these pictures where it's just us handing a check, or it's, but I'd like to know, because it's not the only funny picture I saw, and it's not the only interesting picture I saw. So I'll let Louisa tell us about the Ribfest picture that came out of her.
Yes, my dumpster diving. Well, actually, Martine, you make a good point about photographs of giving checks and shaking hands and giving awards. And one of the things that I said at the beginning of the year that there would not be is pictures of me giving awards and shaking hands and at dinners at all, none on Facebook at all. And there would be no pictures of here I am at this club and then tomorrow, oh, now here I am at this other club. So there were none of those. What I did try to do is find ways to have some different pictures, sometimes with Beacon, sometimes not, but more often with Beacon than with me, because again, I was really trying to emphasize that it wasn't about me. We, in my own club, up until this year, we didn't do it this year, but other years, our major fundraiser is a Rib Fest, and my role is as the garbage goddess. So I'm responsible for all of the recycling. We recycle everything. And we have tons and tons and tons of garbage. And so we have a number of dumpsters, all of which are separated, from the organics to the plastic to the paper. And sometimes people put things in dumpsters that aren't supposed to be there, and somebody's got to go in and get it out. And usually it's me. And so I've every year had reason to be a dumpster diver. And I get in the dumpster and get stuff out, because otherwise the whole dumpster can't be recycled properly, and that kind of defeats the purpose.
Do you have any video?
There's no video, but there's
definitely pictures.
There's definitely pictures. So Beacon went in with me this past, well, it was a year ago now, Beacon went in with me. And Beacon was planning for this for quite some time. So for the last 3 or 4 years, we've been collecting photographs. So Beacon has met about 8 or 9 RI presidents and done some interesting things over the last few years that have given me some different pictures, because that was very important.
And of course he likes
to not have hand-shaking pictures, or here I am again at yet another club at a head table. I didn't do any head tables except one at a premier's dinner, but otherwise I didn't do head tables and I didn't do handshake pictures. So the idea was find something different. And so there are pictures of Beacon hanging upside down and flying through the air, and people playing with Beacon and so on, to just be a little bit more fun.
Gus, you're on deck. Before we ask Gus to turn his microphone on, I need to weigh in kind of in an official capacity here. So none of us work for Rotary International. None of us are on the payroll. We're just Rotarians trying to help. We are not telling you to not have a district governor next year. We are not telling you to cancel your district conference. What we are suggesting is that if you think about your district conference differently, and vet your ideas. I don't think you should just go do crazy stuff, but vet your ideas and test the ideas, with people. That there's a chance that you can come up with something that's creative that will allow you to have a better year in terms of membership, foundation, and public image than you otherwise might have.
Right. So the idea with our not having a district conference was, again, our geography is very challenging. We have several provinces: Nova Scotia, Newfoundland, Labrador, Prince Edward Island, and the islands of Saint-Pierre-Miquelon of France. And it's a long way, and it's hard to get a lot of people to come to a single conference. So the idea was to do 3 different events in 3 different provinces, and to have as many non-Rotarians as Rotarians at all of them.
Yeah.
Minimum, at
As we
least
say, your
this many.
district includes France.
Yes, we have France.
When I found that out, I couldn't get my head around it.
Yeah, we have a piece of
So as they say, do not do this exercise program without consulting your physician.
Mm-hmm.
Gus, you had a question?
Yeah, well, it's less so a question, more just a comment on what Louisa just said. I really love hearing everything you just said about the pictures and the imagery, because when you talk about we don't want to see more, or there's already a lot of handshaking and handing off checks and things. That is actually a point in public image that Rotary International talks about, that we don't talk about nearly as much as we should, but the importance of being intentional with the image that you're using, and having less of that sort of like rehearsed, like people standing around, people handing off checks. I mean, we're pushing so much the message that we're people of action. And then if you go on a Rotary Club's or a district's Facebook page, and everything that you see is, white men standing around with suit and ties and not looking like they're doing much and just shaking hands, like what message does that send to the public, right? So I think that's a really good point to emphasize, that for public image directors and people interested in public image who might be watching this recording, to really think critically about the imagery that they're using. And if you go on the Rotary International Public Image Guide, it tells you what you're looking for, right? So you're looking for sort of like editorial, fly on the wall style pictures, no standing around, people doing things. Try not to feature like individuals, as long as like only feature individuals if the story is about the individual, right? And I think you really hit the nail on the head when you said when you talked about your experience with the pictures that you used.
Well done.
Or rather, the pictures that you didn't use.
I love that our slogan, our hashtag is people of action, and all we do is post pictures of people sitting on their asses. That just blows my mind. I have no idea why anybody could be that disconnected. Now, I do have a different kind of a take on, because I'm often the guy getting his handshake at these events. I think it's okay to take pictures of people shaking hands and giving awards, as long as that's not the only thing you're taking a picture of. And I also suggest you try to do it in a way that hasn't been done before. For example, you've seen those big ass, why am I cursing so much? You've seen those big checks, right, where they present. Have you ever seen anybody actually autographing or signing the check where it's all laid out on the table? That's an interesting way. Instead of shaking hands formally, why not have everybody, put their hands into the middle of the screen and have the camera over there taking a picture of people goofing a little bit on a different type of handshake. So there are plenty of ways to do this that are creative and interesting, but when we go to that default that Gus is talking about all the time, I agree, man. It's Yawn City. Absolutely true. Thank you, Gus.
The awards presentation could happen in your garbage containers.
Exactly. There's a thought.
Who was next? I think Christina.
Martine is right there. We're from the Maritimes, Atlantic Canada. Okay, so I'm going to circle back to what I said earlier about my passion for kind of teamwork and relationship building. So we all know the old phrase, teamwork makes the dream work. So I have kind of 5 points here that I've experienced personally as a public image chair under partnering with Louisa as our chair that I'd like to point out. So the first thing that I think Louisa did an amazing job with when she was chair of our district was early engagement. She started a year before she was our chair, building her team, which allowed then her chairs to build their teams in advance of the year starting. So on July 1st of 2019, we were able to hit the ground running. First thing, that was awesome. The second was inclusion and diversity. When Louisa first contacted me, she said, you have Rotaract experience. We want Rotaract experience. We want that voice on the board. Perfect, love it. When I was looking for folks to join my public image team, I didn't just look to my local clubs of people that I knew. We ended up with people from the ages of 17, a youth exchange student, all the way to a teacher who was retired. So we had anyone from 17 to 65 years of age on our team, which was very valuable in many different ways. We also had very diverse backgrounds in terms of careers and interests. So that was, I mean, diversity is a big, is very important regardless. Louisa being a super supportive leader was critical to our success. We all hear about top-down leadership and the trickle effect of support. That was very important. New ideas. We talked about earlier, Michael, you just mentioned about not going out and doing crazy things. There's so much research, especially about marketing and public image. Take those best practices and apply them to your whatever you're trying to do. So a good example, Louisa had a public image budget, which we've never had a public image budget, but it's probably a good thing to have a public image budget, and it worked for us. The other thing was education and awareness. We hadn't done much of that in the past. And the last thing, and I swear I'll get into a question, is unlocking people's passions. Michael, yourself and Michelle, when I was at Zone back in 2019, you guys unlocked my passion for public image. Louisa knew that I liked public image and I liked social media and stuff, but you and Michelle really kind of ignited that public image flame in me. And I've tried to do that with the public image team that we've created in 7820, finding out what people like and how to maximize people's engagement. So my question is actually for Rachel or Kelly, whoever, it's a trick question. Kelly and Rachel were very crucial members of our public image team last year, extremely engaged individuals and just the best people. So Kelly and Rachel, I'm wondering, why did you join the public image team to begin with, and what has made you stay a second term?
I can answer if you're cool, Kelly. Believe it or not, last year was my first year as a Rotarian. I joined partway through the Rotary year, so not until September. And my club is quite tiny and mostly older people, so I wanted a better way to connect with people, and I knew Christina from Ryla, and so I saw some of her Instagram posts about the public image team, and so I slid into her DMs, and that's how I joined. And then we just all get on so well, and we have a group chat, and it's so much fun, and we also know that we're doing good work, so that's why I've stayed on.
DM, for all of you senior Rotarians watching, is direct message.
It really was
you want to answer?
a dream team. It was a dream team.
I'll just quickly answer. I started out in Rotaract in 2011, and I was actually vice president under Christina. So I've kind of always admired her drive in the district and in the community, and I've always wanted to move further up. So I figured, I'd work my way into Rotaract president, and then now a Rotary president, and then, move up in the district, and then maybe one day up in the ranks of RI somewhere. So I love Rotary, and I want to bring more people into Rotary and engage youth, of course, and young members of the world to join, because myself and Christina and Rachel and everyone here you see is young and youthful, and we don't want the world to see Rotary as the 100-year-old man's club or business club. So everything about PI I love, in this district especially. So I wanted to be a part of it in any way I can.
It's really interesting hearing all the different connections and how everybody knows each other. It's quite clear to me that the secret to success is really nepotism. That's what I'm getting from all of this.
I was also at the RILA that they put on when they were president and vice president, so truly.
Yeah. We had a RILA in Newfoundland, and we had about 40 people from across Atlantic Canada, and it was, and Rachel was there.
A word about inclusion, which is fast becoming a buzzword, and oddly a polarizing buzzword. A lot of senior Rotarians do not like this word already. You might thumbs up if you're hearing that at all.
I hear you, but I don't like it.
Yeah, we got some flack on our video.
Well, so just to be clear about how inclusion can be fun and not threatening, Louisa's campaign became inclusive when she invited a canine to the team. That's pretty inclusive.
And I should mention that Beacon is a Paul Harris Fellow.
I took some questions from the floor about why I loaded up my public image team with a bunch of people who are not PDGs. Thumbs up if you're a PDG, everybody. Yeah, nobody on this committee is my point. We have a couple. Jim Cupper is on the committee. He's a past district governor and a great guy. But my feeling was that public image now is so intricately involved with social media. We're talking about Canva and video editing and all this stuff. And I wanted a committee that could actually get stuff done. Evanston was all over me to name my assistants. And I said, I could easily name PDGs, but I want a team that's actually going to, be able to move the ball down the field. And I have nothing against PDGs. I'm one. But we need the right people on the bus, and we need the right people in the right seats on that bus. I'm quoting Jim Collins from the book Good to Great, written before some of you were born. But that's how I feel about it, and I'm very pleased with this team. This very interview that we're doing, it wouldn't be possible if we didn't have this depth and breadth of experience on the call. I know Melina's been waiting a while, and Gus has a question. And we're getting long on time. Is everybody okay on time, or do you have to split? Okay, let's hang on for a few minutes after our regularly scheduled departure time. Gus, is your question timely to what we're talking about, or is it a fresh topic?
Sort of. It's related to Rotaract.
Okay, let's hold off on Rotaract for just a minute. Melina, let's give you a chance at the microphone, then we'll back over to Gus again.
When you were talking, I was just thinking about like every good leader has a vision, how you can embody something, but sometimes having a vision can be confronting to some folks, especially sometimes in Rotary. So if you could give an advice to a DG, to a future president, what would it be to convince people to join you on your boat on this adventure that is Rotary?
That's a great question, Melina. When I think about people that I was looking to have join the boat that I was starting to voyage on, it was really around the leadership team. And we talked a lot about what our purpose was and what our value proposition is. And we were very clear that our whole role was to help clubs thrive. And for quite some time, because I kind of blew up pets and sets a few years ago when I was district trainer and approached that quite differently, our messaging has been around, how do you make a club irresistible? How do you make Rotary irresistible? And what do you need to do to not be recruiting people, but to be so irresistible that people want to be on the boat? And that was a big part of what we saw in some clubs. And it also was part of what I wanted to see at the leadership level, that the leadership was not diverse, and we didn't reflect the community that we served from the standpoint of serving clubs. And we didn't reflect the community that we live in terms of diversity. And so we needed to make that more irresistible too, so people would want to be there. We did not have a lot of people lining up for district leadership, and most districts don't. Many districts have a hard time finding a district governor, for example. I wanted to be at a point where we were so irresistible at the club level and at the district leadership level that people wanted to be part of it. And so having people like Christina build a team that she's done, and others who were not part of the establishment of our district, was very important. And I think it's an important thing for people to think about at the club level is stop trying to recruit people and focus on making your club irresistible.
I love the irresistible thing. It's fantastic. We need to talk about video with Brad before too long. I think Gus is next, and then Rachel.
Yeah, I love the quote of making Rotary irresistible. And I also loved hearing, I'm a Rotaractor myself, and I loved hearing about you having RILA and Rotaract alumni in your district team, and the importance of having those people have a voice on the table, not just for the sake of having a voice on the table, but I mean, Rotaract is a part of Rotary International membership in the same way that Rotarians are now. So I think it's really important to think about how to include Rotaractors and how to make membership valuable to them as well, right? Because I think that now that becomes more than ever a concern for every DG and every district leadership. So I wanted to hear about you. I was flipping through your document earlier, and I saw that your district seems to have quite a few Rotaract clubs. I wanted to hear a little bit about your experience as a DG with Rotaract and some of the things that your district might have done with Rotaract in your year, or if you have any take on Elevate Rotaract and what's in store in the future for Rotary and Rotaract.
It's definitely a work in progress. I would not say that we have a lot of innovation in that area to offer. We do have a number of Rotaract clubs. They've gone up and down. Most of our Rotaract clubs are university or college based, and so leadership is a constant challenge as people come and go, and we have not by any means figured out how to solve some of that succession planning any better than anybody else has. We've got some really strong folks that have been involved, like Christina and Kelly, obviously, and we had a new one that started last year. But I don't know that I have a lot to offer other than to say that those folks need to be at the district leadership table in a very meaningful and purposeful way. So I think I'll just leave it at that for now, unless Christina wants to offer something else. But that's where I would be. And again, and I'll just say again, it's challenging for us because of that geography again. It's very difficult to say, well, let's bring all of our Rotaract folks together. Well, we're in 3 provinces. You have to take 2 airplanes to get to some of those areas. So it's not like you can just say, let's have an easy weekend together. So we have to find other ways to continue to support and inspire Rotaract clubs to grow.
I don't have a solution per se, but I'm super passionate that community clubs are the way to go rather than university-based clubs. Based on my experience, I think Kelly would super agree with me. We were in a university club. We changed to a community club, and university, you graduate and then you're gone and there's no link, and we lose people. We're like hemorrhaging Rotaractors from university-based clubs. So,
Christina, I'm working on a community-based Rotaract club in 6310. I don't think that's the district that you're looking after as an assistant RP.
thanks.
But I might pull you in for your expertise. Maybe
I would love to.
co-present.
I love Rotaract.
Okay, very good. I'm losing track here. Was it Rachel and then Brad?
It's me. I was wondering, so we've been talking a lot about all the different things you tried. How did you know when something was working, or did you know? And did you have any idea that you might have been doing kind of the best in the zone?
No, I had no idea that anyone was involved in any kind of nomination for this. So it was a big surprise to me at the zone event where it flashed up on the screen and then it was gone. I said, did that say 7820? I think that said 7820. And I didn't know about it. So I didn't have that sense by any means. How did I know that things were going well versus not? Well, you get pretty quick feedback in district leadership roles. There's not much hesitation for people to tell you when you're doing things that don't work. That comes very quickly. And so I did hear very quickly when people didn't like things. And I heard less, I guess, in some ways when things were working well. But I did appreciate, and I think it extended as the year went on, that people were saying, okay, that did work, or that was a good idea, or that got new people out. Or I heard people saying, if I was not on time with Beacon's message every week, because Beacon did a post every week on Facebook, people would email me, where's Beacon? Beacon's late. So then I was like, okay, somebody's reading this. So, you know, those things happened. And so the team, again, the team was amazing. And that's what made it all work.
You know, I have some inside information about how the award came down at the zone event. And I don't say this to embarrass anybody. I'm part of the problem, actually. And it was worse during COVID because everybody's scrambling to do the virtual event. Can we all agree, thumbs up, that it's good to acknowledge people if you want them to feel good about participating and reward them in some way? Acknowledgement is huge. So they're trying to put together the awards, which we do every year, but I forgot myself. So a week before the event, I get an email, we need to know who you're nominating for this, you know, for the district award. I'm like, bloody hell. Again, I can pull the name out of a hat, but how would I know how everybody did without some sort of analysis, comparative analysis and measuring the results and all that stuff? So I asked around quickly. My team actually came to my rescue and said, we know exactly who should win and why. And I was sold as soon as I saw some of their arguments. So I submitted it. And, you know, the zone event was a paired zone event, I believe. I'm sure of it. And I said, so we're good, right? And the message came back, no, we think we're going to cancel it. I'm like, why? And they said, because we don't have an awardee from from zone 32. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. Because somebody else didn't ante up, you're going to punish the zone that did come through with an awardee. But we're all volunteers. We're working very quickly. This is an egalitarian organization. We like to treat everybody exactly the same. You see some of the challenges here, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not complaining. I'm part of the problem. But it's through discussion like this that we can figure things out and maybe find a better way. So that's why I mention it. I don't mention any names. I don't want to embarrass anybody. That's not the point. I know that Kelly's got to beg off here pretty soon. Let's finish up with Brad with a video, talk about video, because it's so important to marketing these days. And video's a tricky little bugger. And then I want to close with a fairly complicated question that I want everybody to think about, people watching the video moving forward. Brad, let's talk about video. Did you have a question for Louisa?
Yes, just wondering, how did you incorporate video into your strategic plan to raise public image? Did you use it in with Facebook and Twitter? How did you get it out to the masses?
So probably not as well as I could have or should have. I'll start with that was not at the top of my list and probably needed more focus and more attention. And I didn't have you at the table at that point. So that was a gap for sure, that I needed that additional expertise. However, what we did do right out of the gate was I did not do club visits automatically. We decided that instead of the district governor, AKA chair of the leadership team, automatically top down sending out a schedule, here's when I'm coming to your club. Instead, we would ask all clubs to invite me or somebody else, whoever was the best expertise that they needed, to help them move their needle in some way. What would have an impact? If it was me, great, I'll be there. If it was Christina, also great, Christina will be there. What do you need to help you move your needle? So instead of doing the standard talk 45 times, I did do a video. And the video was not me giving a talk, the video was the team. So all members of the leadership team were on the video, all area governors were in the video, and we had people like our zone director, Jeffrey Catterett was in the video, Valerie Wafer was in the video. And so it was, again, advanced plan, because I did the video clips with them and Beacon. The previous year, when I saw them at different events or in San Diego at training, those kinds of things, I was getting videos of people for a year in advance to put this one together. And so it became a presentation about things that were happening during the year, about the puppies, about the contests. We had a couple of different contests underway, about our full team and how we were doing things differently. And every club was given that video and hopefully used it in lieu of me giving the same talk 45 times that didn't have all of those people in it. So that was probably the main video piece. And then of course the coffee and conversations, all of those videos were shared. The workshop with Michelle was shared. So we tried to make sure we have a YouTube channel as a district. And I learned very quickly, as we said earlier, you can do it. I found out that I could, in fact, download and edit and put a title on a video and put those on the YouTube channel. So we shared those. But I think there's lots of potential to do more. And if I could do it again, not that I want to do it again, but if I could do it again, I would definitely try to do more.
Louisa, don't take this wrong. It just seems to me that Beacon could be more animated in the videos.
Yes. Well, you know, he tries. He you know.
Beacon's seen a lot of stuff.
He's been around.
It's such a great session. I really appreciate everybody pitching in. And was it a good format for you? Did you enjoy this?
Yeah, it's fun.
Okay, so please share it out and let's educate more people and teach people how to take public image to another level. Here's my question on the way out the door, and I realize we may not get an answer today. I've been struggling with how to measure public image. Membership's really easily measured. Foundation is really easily measured. You can measure it a bunch of different ways. But public image is a slippery little guy when it comes to understanding, you know, how are we doing, say 6 months through the year? Or how did we do this month? Rachel, you and I have been working on things like Facebook analytics, and I think we can do more to look at things like number of impressions, pieces of engagement. I've developed a little scorecard for Facebook that, you know, not all engagement on Facebook is created equal. I'll take a share over an emoticon any day of the week. So I'm always trying to get people to share quality content. I don't want your likes. They feel good. I hear my dopamine increases when you like me. But what I really want is people to share good messages. That's how I measure that a Facebook post has really landed with people and resonates. And we're seeing that a lot on the Get the Word Out Now group. Rachel, any closing thoughts on this and measuring our success in public image?
Yeah, so we definitely, clubs don't need to do what I do. So for the zone, I do some coding to look at our public image, but Facebook in your Insights tab has so much information, and I think people don't realize that. You can see how many people in your group are actually actively commenting on things. You can see even on every post that you post how many insights it has, how many shares, how many people it reaches, and then you know if it's working. So I know Louisa had a super successful post from the AGM where one of the clubs in our district wrote an AGM song. It was amazing, but we knew it went over well because it had, I think, 6,000 impressions. And you can, if you are in a min on a Facebook page, that number just pops up and then you know that. So if you're using a Canva template and it's getting 5 times the impressions, keep using that Canva template over just a box of text. Yeah. So there's really simple things you can do that don't involve master's degrees.
Yeah. And I think sometimes it can be something really simple, Michael. Like one of the things that I decided I was wanting to focus on, and Christina was really helpful, is that, you know, we still had quite a few clubs that were not using current branding. I don't know if anybody else has that problem. Maybe it was just us, but we certainly did have issues with branding and with Facebook sites that were not as current as they should be. So a metric for us was just, okay, let's see if we can get everybody to the point where we've got current imagery on their Facebook site. And we worked at that all year. How can we get clubs to be using current visuals? We bought banners for every club, beautiful new pull-up banners. They don't have the word club on them. Again, trying to get people to think in new ways. So we decided these banners would not have the word club to have broader reach, broader appeal. Just try it and see what happens. Beautiful imagery. Every club has one. The district bought them. So there's a metric there that says everybody now has current image banner. Every Facebook site now has proper logo. Those are metrics that are important to look at too.
I remember a few years ago, Jennifer Jones, when she was director, this must have been Zone 29, had those foam core podium signs made with the master brand, because that was what was getting photographed the most in a physical world when speakers came in. And so you got this kind of free gift from the director and you put it on the podium, and then that went a long way to getting that 100% measurement that you're talking about, Louisa. Perfect branding every time, because because you provided the podium sign.
I gave them the banners, and I positioned it that it's time to retire the blue felt.
Yeah.
So here's a new one, shiny new one. Get rid of the felt. Please use this for your imagery.
So a question for Rachel before we go. How do you do Facebook Insights? Is that the button next to the space bar?
It could be. I don't know. Facebook actually just changed their whole page manager app, so people are going to have to relearn, but it's pretty simple.
Yeah, you can't, as they say, you can't break the internet, ladies and gentlemen. So start clicking some stuff and go a little bit deeper than you normally go. I'm going to ask everybody on this call to post a quick review on the Get the Word Out Now group and maybe the Zone 2832 group. Tell everybody what kind of experience you had tonight and that you're looking forward to seeing the video in the timeline, because it'll be there within just a few, probably tomorrow. Do we have any other final parting thoughts or comments?
I just want to note one thing that I don't know if it was totally clear at the beginning. We've talked about budget, and Louisa mentioned the large geographical region that our district covers, but I just want to make the point that Louisa hadn't planned to do club visits pre-COVID. So this was the plan all along. We didn't pivot in 2020 and stop club visits. We had this PI budget and doing these virtual things already planned. So the video, the no club visits, things like that, saving money somewhere to put resources elsewhere where it could be maximized. That was all Louisa's original brainchild prior to our lockdown lives.
Yeah, well, clearly there was some planning in advance. Louisa had a vision for what she wanted to do. She didn't make this, she might have made up some of this stuff in real time, but I suspect a lot of these larger pieces were formulated in her brain well before her year, and that's come out in this little session.
And it was the team. I just have to say, it wasn't me. It was the team. We have an amazing leadership team that together did a strategic plan that has carried us through very well.
Yeah, well done. Thank you, everybody, for being on the call. Louisa, special thanks to you for appearing before a panel of experts and explaining exactly how District 7820 impressed so many people and won a Public Image Award for 2019-2020. You're a role model for all of us. We really appreciate you. Enjoy your post-district leadership role. And
Thank
for
you.
God's sake, feed Beacon. He looks a little thin.
Yeah, he's ready for his supper
That
now.
poor flamingo back there.
And the flamingo taped to the window behind me. Yeah. So I needed to have a
What I
flamingo
noticed was
because you
that
always need a flamingo. And again, these are silly, but they help. I do the flamingo earrings. I have flamingo headband.
You are memorable.
It helps.
what I noticed was Beacon's definitely a stuffed animal, but that flamingo is real.
Yeah. Yes.
Gus, thank you so much. I look forward to I love our exchanges. You're a deep thinker, man. Melina, you're charming, and we need you with your bilingual ability, you and Martine, to communicate with the French portion of our district. As we say, your district includes France. Christina, let's talk about this community Rotaract club in 6310 and think about some other ways that we can serve. Rachel, I want to talk with you more about our continuing evolution here and understanding analytics and measurement. You're very valuable to me. And Brad Hollett, thank you so much for all you have done for the video world. Rotary needs to appreciate and understand how to use video marketing, man. It's a secret weapon, and we have a long way to go in that realm. Thanks, everybody. You're fantastic. I really appreciate you, and we'll see you soon, okay?
Thank you all. Bye.
Bye, Beacon.
Bye, Beacon. Bye, Louisa.